What if the loudest braggarts are secretly the weakest, hollow shells crumbling without your applause? What if true power hides in the shadows, unseen, unspoken, until it crushes the stage they dance on? Welcome to Victory, where we shred the myth of showing off and forge the art of quiet success. This isn't some soft retreat, it's a rebellion, a fusion of Stoic Steel and the raw psychology of the relentless. You're about to uncover how the real victors win without a single shout. Society's addicted to noise, the strutting peacocks, the megaphone mouths screaming their wins like it's proof they matter. Psychology lays it bare, they're desperate, chained to the crowd's fickle roar, trembling when it fades. But the Stoics? They laughed at that game. Marcus Aurelius carved the truth, do good by stealth and blush to find it fame. No banners, no boasts, just a fire inside that needs no fuel but your own grit. This is the mind of the self-made, the driven, people who don't beg for respect because their results demand it. You're not here to clap for clowns. You're here to rise, silent and fierce, a force that stuns the world without a word. We're diving into the art of triumph that doesn't need a spotlight, where motivation burns deep and the mob bows when you're done, not when you start. This is your wake-up call to ditch the noise and claim victory your way. Unshakable, undeniable, quiet as hell. Hit that like button to ignite this fire, share it with someone trapped in the brag trap, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. We're building warriors, not cheerleaders. Comment your mantra below. What's the one line that keeps you steady? Let's roll. Number 1. Showing off is a sign of insecurity. Let's tear into it. The loudest braggarts, those chest thumpers crowing about every win, are often the shakiest souls around, trembling beneath their bluster. They're not bold, they're brittle, leaning on applause to stay upright. Here's the first raw truth of quiet success. Showing off is a glaring red flag of insecurity. Psychology cuts deep. Truly successful people don't need to prove jack. Their confidence glows from within, a steady blaze that doesn't flicker for the crowd's cheap nods. You're here to ditch the fanfare and claim that fire. Think about it. The guy flaunting his new ride, the coworker who won't shut up about their big score. That's not swagger, it's sweat. Studies in social psychology, like those from the University of Pennsylvania, nail it. Compulsive boasting screams low self-worth. They're not shining, they're scrambling, pleading for you to clap, to fill the empty pit they can't. It's a shaky scaffold, ready to topple when the cheers die down. That's not power, it's a puppet show with fraying strings. Now look at the real ones, the quiet titans who don't need a stage. They're not peacocks, they're wolves, calm, certain, lethal. Stoicism lays it out. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of Rome, didn't parade his victories. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." No banners, just a man rooted in his own skin, letting his work speak. Psychology agrees. Self-assured people run on intrinsic drive, not borrowed praise. Their success isn't a loudspeaker, it's a quiet hum that drowns out the noise. Imagine your mind as a vault. The show-offs, doors flung wide, hawking their loot, praying the mob calls it gold. You, locked tight, treasures inside. Your hustle, your spine, your unshakable core. Boasting is tossing your keys to the crowd, letting them weigh your value. Quiet success is keeping them, building something so damn solid, no one's opinion can scratch it. That's the move, not a yell but a stand. Take Jake Malone, a 39-year-old carpenter from Nashville. Last year he crafted a deck that scored him a fat contract, pure word of mouth, no ads. Old Jake might have bragged, not for business but to polish his shine, tempting fate with every tale. New Jake? He pocketed the cash, nodded, and started the next gig. Why? He's not hiding his light to dodge family loan sharks, though that's a perk, but because he's got purpose. Every move's deliberate, not a circus for clout. His craft's his proof. He doesn't need to wave it to feel it. Meanwhile, his buddy Rick spins yarns about every job, chasing nods while Jake's booked solid. The crowd loves a loudmouth, but they trust the guy who delivers. This isn't shyness, it's certainty. Braggarts prop themselves on noise, yank it away, and they're flailing. You stand firm without it, rooted in your own juice. Psychology calls it self-efficacy, faith in your grind, no audience needed. Stoics call it virtue, doing the work because it's yours, not for show. Blend that, and you're a force, steady in silence, unmoved by murmurs. Jake didn't quit the itch cold. First win, he nearly spun a tail at the bar, stopped, sipped his beer, let it fade. Next, a client raved, he said thanks and kept sawing. Bit by bit, he starved the urge. Less notice me, more know me. You can too. That last flex moment, showing off your raise, your hustle, feel it, then drop it. Your worth's not a crowd's vote, it's a light they can't dim. What's your prop? That tug to flaunt, to fish for nice one? The mob's a shaky jury, today's star, tomorrow's fool. Stoics saw it, psychology confirms it. Real success doesn't plead for eyes. Jake shines, not to dazzle, but to dodge the leeches, and to keep his soul his own. You're not here to grovel, you're here to rise, quiet and fierce, a vault no one cracks. Let the loudmouths yap, you'll outshine them without a word. Number 2. Quiet action builds credibility. Let's slice through the noise. The world's a shouting match. Everyone's yelling their worth, waving their flags, betting on volume to win the crowd. Most think the loudest voice grabs the throne, but here's the twist they miss. Quiet action builds credibility. The mob doesn't bow to the big talkers, it kneels to the doers, the ones who deliver without a drum roll. Results don't need a megaphone, they're the roar that silences the chatter. You're here to wield that power, not waste it on words. The braggarts? They're all bark, howling about their plans, their almosts, their next big thing. They're street performers, juggling promises for loose change, hoping the crowd buys the act. But psychology kicks the legs out from under them. Studies like those from Yale show people trust competence over charisma. Deeds outshine decibels every time. The loudmouth might dazzle for a minute, but the quiet finisher? They're the one the crowd remembers, the one they lean on when the stakes climb. Talk's cheap, action's gold. Stoicism sharpens the blade. Seneca, that stoic firebrand, didn't mess around, but let's craft a fresh twist. Let your hands carve the path your tongue need not boast of. No fluff, just a call to let your work etch your name. The crowd's fickle, they'll cheer the showman today, ditch him tomorrow. But the one who moves silent, stacking wins without a peep. That's the shadow they can't ignore, the weight they can't shake. You don't need to sell your story, your results close the deal. Think of your life as a quiet forge. Most folks clang hammers, shouting about every spark, desperate for eyes on their glow. You stoke the coals, steady, focused, crafting something unbreakable while they're distracted. When the sword's done, sharp and gleaming, no one asks for a speech, they feel the edge. That's credibility, not a yell to be heard, but a truth to be seen. The mob respects what stands, not what struts. Take Leo Grayson, a 42-year-old landscaper from Boise. Last fall he took a barren lot, weed-choked, forgotten, and turned it into a park for a local school. Old Leo might have crowed, called the press, posed for pics, milked the praise. New Leo, he dug, planted, leveled, dawn to dusk, no fanfare. Didn't say a word when the kids ran through, when parents thanked the mystery guy. By spring, the town knew his name, not from his lips, but from the green he left behind. He didn't shout, his shovel did. This isn't about hiding, it's about proving. The loud ones lean on noise like a lifeline, cut it, and they're adrift. Your anchor's in what you build. Tangible, tough, trusted. Psychology calls it the halo effect. Quiet competence casts a glow words can't fake. Stoics call it duty, doing what's right, not what's seen. Blend that and you're a bedrock, unshaken by silence, revered by results. Leo didn't master this in a flash. First job, he bragged about a patio, showed it off, fished for wows, then saw it fade when the next guy outdid him. Next gig, he kept his head down. Client raved, he nodded, moved on. Step by step, he traded noise for weight. Less hear me, more see this. You can too. That last urge to trumpet, your fix, your win, feel it, then bury it. Your work's the voice, let it sing. What's your stage? That itch to announce, to bask? The crowd's a shallow judge, swayed by flash, bored by fade. Quiet action flips it, earns you a nod that sticks, a trust that holds. Leo's park didn't need a sign, it stood, and they came. You're not here to yell, you're here to forge. Silent and sure, a force the mob can't deny. Let them talk, your results shut them up. Number 3, silence ignites inner drive. The world's a treadmill of validation, people sprinting for claps, panting for likes, stalling when the crowd looks away. They're hooked on the buzz, chasing external sparks to keep their engines humming. But there's a fiercer fuel, a quiet blaze that doesn't beg for air. Silence ignites inner drive. When you ditch the hunt for praise, you flip the switch, pushing yourself forward, relentless and free. That's the untamed, self-born strength of a true winner. Picture the usual game. Folks grinding for the well done, measuring their worth by the crowd's roar. They're not running. They're auditioning, tethered to a leash of need, crumbling when the cheers fade. Psychology lays it bare. Research from Harvard shows external validation's a flimsy prop. Snap it, and they stumble. You're not here to borrow gas. Silence rewires you. When no one's watching, no one's nodding, that's when your core kicks in, driving you harder than any shout ever could. It's your will, your race, your win. Stoicism lights the fuse. Epictetus, that straight-shooting sage, nailed it. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. No spotlight, no hype, just a pact with yourself and the guts to see it through. This isn't about tuning out the world, it's about dialing into the fire inside. Your purpose, your steel, your unshakable why. The self-driven don't wait for a green light, they've got a motor that growls in the dark. Imagine your drive as a hidden spring. Most folks pipe it out, begging for nods, good jobs, anything to keep it flowing, terrified it'll dry up without the fuss. You're the source, deep and steady, pumping it up with nothing but your own resolve. Praise is a quick jolt, sweet, shallow, spent. Inner drives the river, strong, silent, endless. When you don't fish for the noise, you fish from yourself, and that's the current that carries you. Take Mia Torres, a 36-year-old baker from Santa Fe. Last spring, she launched a pastry line, handcrafted dawn-to-dusk work that sold out fast. Old Mia might have leaned on the buzz, craved the ooze to feel the rush. New Mia? She kneaded, baked, perfected, quiet as a whisper. She didn't skip filming or snapping pics because it's not cool. In today's world, that's smart business, and she knows it. She posts a crisp reel of her croissants, tags her shop, keeps it sharp. But that's strategy, not her soul's fuel. Her drive? It's in the 4 a.m. rises. The dough she nails alone. The line out the door she built without a cheer squad. Silence isn't her gimmick. It's her spine. She pushes because she's wired to, not because they're watching. This isn't about going mute. It's about running your own engine. The praise chasers, they're plugged into the crowd, short-circuiting when it's quiet. You're off-grid. Power surging from your gut to your grind, no outlet needed. Psychology calls it intrinsic motivation. Chasing the craft, not the clap. Stoics call it liberty, moving for your own North Star, not their flicker. Mix that and you're a machine, unlit by others, unstoppable by choice. Mia didn't ditch the itch cold. First batch, she nearly overshared. Phone out, craving the hype, then stopped. Posted a quick clip for the shop, not her ego, and kept rolling. Next, a customer raved. She nodded, thanks, and prepped more. Step by step, she tuned it out. Less, tell me I'm enough. More, I know I am. You can too. That last pull to oversell, your win, your sweat. Use it smart. If it grows the game, then let it rest. Your drive's not their spark, it's your furnace. What's your leash? That tug to hear nice one, to see the crowd light up? They're a fickle battery. Charged today, dead tomorrow. Silence cuts the cord, lets you run on your own juice, fierce and free. Mia's line sells out not because she begs for eyes, but because she doesn't need to. You're not here to be pushed. You're here to ignite. Quiet and ruthless. A winner who doesn't wait for the world's go. Number 4. Success doesn't need the crowd's approval. Picture a world obsessed with the spotlight. People clawing for nods, chasing the mob's fleeting yes, like it's the key to their worth. They're tethered to the roar, measuring every step by the claps or the silence that follows. Yet here's a sharper edge, a truth that cuts through the din. Success doesn't need the crowd's approval. Those truly driven live for their own compass, not society's fickle gaze. You're here to carve your path, not beg for a cheer. The masses love a show, someone shouting their wins, waving for attention, desperate to be seen. They're actors on a shaky stage, bowing for every well done, crumbling when the seat's empty. But the real fire? It burns solo. Stoicism throws down the gauntlet. Epictetus, that unflinching voice, said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. No pandering, no parade, just a soul locked on its aim, deaf to the chatter. Your goal's your North Star. The crowd's just a shadow passing by. Envision your journey as a lone climb. Most scramble up, yelling about every foothold, pleading for the valley to cheer their ascent. You scale in stillness. Eyes on the peak, hands on the rock, no echo needed. When you summit, the view's yours, whether they clap or not. That's the juice of real drive. It's not fueled by their ooze, it's forged by your I will. The mob's a fickle judge, today's hero, tomorrow's ghost. You don't need their verdict. Consider Tony Rivas, a 40-year-old tailor from Miami. Last year he stitched a suit line, custom cuts, late-night threads that dressed a local big shot. Old Tony might have chased the hype, bragged to every ear, hunted for the buzz. New Tony? He sewed, delivered, moved on, quiet as dusk. No one threw a party when the client strutted in his work. No one tagged him in the spotlight. But by fall, his shop hummed. Word spread, not from his mouth, but from the fit he nailed. He didn't live for their eyes. He lived for the needle. This isn't about dodging the world, it's about owning your why. The approval hunters? They're puppets, swaying with the crowd's strings, lost when the hands drop. You're the architect, blueprint in mind, hammer in hand, building for your own skyline. Stoics saw it clear. Your worth's not a vote, it's a vow. Tony didn't need a chorus. His craft, his aim, his steady beat were enough. Tony didn't shed the urge fast. First win he nearly crowed, itched to tell the block, then paused, folded the cloth, kept cutting. Next, a client raved. He grinned, said, "Good to know," and threaded on. Bit by bit, he tuned them out. Less see my shine, more feel my work. You can too. That last tug to bask, your score, your sweat. Taste it, then turn it inward. Your goal's not their gift, it's your ground. What's your chain? That pull to hear the crowd sing, to see them nod? They're a passing breeze, loud now, gone soon. Living for your aim cuts you loose, lets you stride free, fierce in your own orbit. Tony's suits fit kings not because he begged for bows, but because he didn't. You're not here for their yes, you're here for your own. Quiet and bold, a force that doesn't need the world's stamp to stand tall. Number 5. Focus on action, not feedback. The world's a gallery of echoes. Praise today, silence tomorrow, a fickle tide that lifts and drops without warning. Most chase that wave, hanging their worth on every great job, wilting when it fades. But there's a sturdier anchor, a stoic truth that stands firm. Focus on action, not feedback. The truly successful know compliments are smoke, pretty for a moment, then gone. They root their trust in the sweat they pour, the moves they make, not the whispers that follow. You're here to build, not to bask. Crowds love to talk. Tossing bouquets one day, shrugs the next. They're a shaky mirror, reflecting what they feel, not what you are. The ones who win big? They don't stare at that glass. Stoicism cuts it clean. Seneca, that sharp-eyed sage, wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." No leaning on applause, no waiting for nods, just faith in the task at hand. Your effort's your steel, feedback's just a breeze that passes through. Imagine your work as a forge. Most stand by, shouting about every spark, craving the ooze to stoke their flame. You hammer on, quiet, steady, shaping iron while they watch the glow fade. When the blade's done, it cuts. No one needs to cheer its edge. That's the core of it. Action holds weight, words drift away. The successful don't fish for echoes. They trust the clang of their own strike. Look at Oprah Winfrey, born dirt poor in Mississippi. She clawed her way to a media empire. She didn't wait for the world to say you're enough. She wrote, hosted, built, day after grueling day. Early on, critics sneered at her style, her roots. She kept talking, kept pushing. No banners when she launched her show, just a mic and a will. By the 90s, the crowd roared, but she'd already won, not for their cheers, but for her grind. Or take Thomas Edison, 1,000 failed bulbs before the light stuck. Inventors mocked him. Papers called him a dreamer. Did he parade every flicker, beg for a nice try? No. He tinkered, tested, trusted his hands. When that filament glowed, the world gasped. He'd been too busy working to care. His focus wasn't their wow. It was the wire, the spark, the next step. Action, not acclaim, lit his path. This isn't about ignoring the world. It's about outlasting it. Feedback's a fickle guest, here today, gone when you stumble. The greats, they're their own compass. Consider J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers, scraping by as a single mom. She didn't hawk her drafts for pity or praise. She wrote, revised, sent again. When Harry Potter hit, the mob cheered. But she'd won in the quiet with ink and grit, not their early yes. Oprah didn't bloom overnight. First gigs? She craved the nods, felt the sting when they skipped her. Then she shifted, poured it into the craft, not the claps. Edison didn't gloat at half-tries. He logged the flops, kept twisting wires. Rowling didn't quit at no. She typed on, eyes on the page. They tuned out the noise. Less, tell me I'm good. More, I'll make it great. You can too. That last itch to hear well done, your win, your hustle, feel it, then forge ahead. Your effort's the rock, their words are wind. What's your mirror? That urge to catch the crowd's yes, to ride their wave? It's a ghost, bright now, dust soon. Action's your route, unshaken by silence, unmoved by shouts. Oprah's mic, Edison's bulb, Rolling's pen, they didn't need a chorus. They sang through what they built. You're not here for their echo, you're here for your strike, steady and sure, a force that proves itself with every swing. Number 6. Showing off is a psychological burden. Step into the spotlight of truth. The world's a jealous pit, teeming with eyes that don't cheer. They judge, they envy, they wait for your fall. Most stumble right into it, hoisting their wins like a flag, shouting for the crowd to see, thinking it's glory. But here's the raw cut. Showing off is a psychological burden. It chains you to their gaze, forces you to dance for their nods, and drags you from your own skin. Silence? That's the key. It cuts the ropes, sets you free to live true, unshackled by their whispers. You're here to shed that weight and rise. Boasting isn't a crown. It's a collar. Every look at me you toss out hooks you tighter to their opinions, their daggers, their greed. You think you're shining, but you're begging for approval from a mob that's never satisfied. Stoicism slices through. Epictetus, that clear-eyed Stoic, said, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." No preening, no pleading, just a man who knows his worth doesn't need their echo. Showing off builds a cage, silence hands you the sky. Think of your life as a quiet garden. Most plant theirs loud, trumpeting every bloom, inviting the neighbors to gawk. They don't see the hands reaching through the fence, friends eyeing your harvest, kin counting your seeds, strangers sneering its luck or worse. You tend yours in the dusk, no fanfare, no fuss. When the fruit ripens, it's yours, not their prize to pluck or poison. Boasting stirs the wasps, envy, gossip, leeches, silence keeps them buzzing at the gate. Zoom into the everyday. Take Sam, a 35-year-old mechanic from Akron. Last year, he fixed up a vintage Mustang. Months of grease, late nights, pure grit. Old Sam would have roared, rolled it out, revved it loud, soaked in the wows. He tried once, bragged to his crew. Next day, his cousin hinted at a loan. His buddy grumbled Sam was showing off. Another swore it was a fluke buy, not skill. Knew Sam? He parked it quiet, drove it to work, no fuss. Only his sister, who'd seen the sweat, grinned and said, "You earned it." The rest, they squinted, guessed, stayed out. He didn't need their yes. He had his keys. That's the trap. Brag, and the vultures circle. Envy's everywhere. Your old pal who tallies your wins like a debt, your aunt who sniffs it's not fair, the guy down the back street who mutters cheat or luck. They don't clap, they claw. Some wait to borrow what you've built. Others hiss you've stepped out of line. Crime or arrogance, pick their poison. Boasting paints a target. Silence blurs the lines. Most don't love you enough to cheer clean. The few who do, they'll see your light without a flare. Now picture Lena, a 29-year-old cashier from Tulsa. She saved for a year, bought a little house, nothing grand, but hers. Old Lena might have crowed, invited the gang, posted pics, basked in the buzz. She did once, told her cousins. One asked to crash just for a bit, another smirked she'd lucked into a deal. Her mom's friend swore she'd sold out for it. Knew Lena? She moved in quiet, painted the walls, planted a rose, kept the key. Her best friend, who'd seen her pinch pennies, brought a bottle to toast. The rest found out months later, too late to pick or poke. She didn't need their spotlight, she had her door. This isn't hiding, it's holding ground. Boasting bends you, makes you a mirror for their moods, a sponge for their spite. You live for their ooh, die by their eh, a seesaw of need that never steadies. Silence flips it, you're the root, not the leaf, growing for your own sun. The crowd's a swamp, jealousy, loans, whispers of who's he think he is. Most don't lift you, they weigh you. Sam's car, Lena's house, they didn't shine less for the hush. They stood taller, free of the grab. Sam didn't quit the itch quick. First fix, he bragged. Felt the sting when his brother's joke hit. Guess I'll borrow that. Next he zipped it, nodded at a nice ride, kept wrenching. Lena didn't flaunt, caught herself mid-tail once, saw the glint in her uncle's eye, shut it down. Step by step they shed the load. Less see me, more be me. You can too. That last pull to crow, your raise, your win. Feel it, then lock it. It's not their feast, it's your field. What's your yoke? That urge to flash, to hear the damn, it's a snare. Friends turn green, kin turn needy, strangers turn sour. They don't crown you, they carve you up, call it chance, not choice. Silence dodges the blade, lets you breathe, lets you be. Sam's Mustang purrs, Lena's rose blooms, not for their eyes, but for their own. You're not here to feed the swarm, you're here to rise, quiet and whole, a soul they can't touch unless you let them. Boasting's their burden, freedom's yours. Closing, step back and see it clear. The world's a noisy coliseum. Braggarts roaring for the stands, chasing fleeting cheers, shackled to the crowd's fickle gaze. But you've walked a sharper path, forged in stoic fire and raw truth. You've learned to silence the megaphone, to fuel your drive from within, to let your actions carve credibility where words fall flat. This isn't just success, it's liberation, a quiet triumph that stuns the mob and frees your soul. You're not here to perform, you're here to prevail, unshaken, unbound, unstoppable. Life won't hush its chaos. Envy will lurk, doubters will jab, the clamor will tempt you to shout back. But you've got the edge now. Success doesn't need their yes, it thrives in your grip, glowing brighter without their spotlight. Every move you make in silence, every win you keep close, builds a fortress they can't breach. This is your art, living for your own compass, letting results thunder when the time's right, not when they demand. You're a force, not an echo, a victor who doesn't bow to the noise. Carry this into your days, your work, your battles, your unseen strides. Let it steel you against the pull to flaunt, the trap of their eyes. You're part of something bigger here at Victory Stoic, a tribe of quiet warriors rising above the fray. If this lit a spark, slam that like button to keep the flame roaring. Share it with someone caught in the brag game, set them free. Subscribe and stand with us. We're forging legends, not loudmouths. Drop a comment below, your mantra, your silent win. What's the one thing you're claiming today? Let's hear your strength. Thank you for stepping into this fire, for choosing the hard, true road over the hollow stage. You're the heartbeat of Victory Stoic. A soul who doesn't just hear, but lives this wisdom. We're damn proud to walk this with you. Keep rising, keep shining, quiet and fierce. See you in the next one.